y'all for tuning in today. This is the first installment of Revolutionary Talk podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, check us out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you share, like, and check us out. Go through, watch all the other videos as well. And today, I have a good friend here today. I've been knowing this brother since, I want to say 2016. He goes by the name of Yafeuh Balogun. He's a brother that's been in the revolutionary struggle, been in the movement for some years now. I want to say probably since 2008. So with that being said, another little housekeeping thing we want to go over right now is Black Empowerment Movement. We do have a fundraiser going on right now. I'm going to kick it over to Jessica to talk about the current fundraiser. What we have going on?
Okay. All right. So our current fundraiser is our entrepreneurship scholarship, where we want to grant at least 4 young Black entrepreneurs with $500 to put towards their business. We did it last year. It was very successful. So we're trying to run that back again this year.
Yeah, so make sure y'all go to our website, bemovement.org. That's B-E movement.org. Go donate, or you can just go to our Facebook page, Black Empowerment Movement, to donate to the fundraiser. So please check that out and donate. But without further ado, the man of the hour, Yafeuh Balogun. How you doing today, brother?
Brother, I feel real good. I feel fine, you know what I'm saying, energetic.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to be here with you all to discuss this revolutionary politics, etc., and history.
All right, well, let's get it started then, without wasting any time. Everybody may not know about you, so give people a little brief introduction. Where are you from?
Oh, man, I'm, of course, originally from Dallas, Texas. A son of a great man, a great woman. My father's name is Abdullah Musi Shamsuddin. Mother Linda Goodson, and just a real good extended family. My uncle Asadi Shamsuddin, kind of this tight knit family that more or less kind of put me kind of on this path that I'm on now. But I grew up just like everybody else in the neighborhood, playing basketball in the neighborhood, playing football, throw up tackle, what I'm saying, stuff like that. Just trying to figure out what it's like, being Black in America in the 90s. So, man, I had a good upbringing, man.
Yeah. So you saying you was raised, you had a Muslim father. When you say Muslim, was he Orthodox or he was part of the nation?
Good question. My father, man, he was in Vietnam with the Marine Corps in '67. And while he was there in Vietnam, my uncle, Asadi, was actually writing him letters talking about, the Nation of Islam. How he felt about the Nation of Islam, etc., and how he felt that, he should join it. And so when my father came home in '68, '69, he married my mother, they both joined the Nation of Islam, at that particular time. So it was, to him, it was life-changing, you know what I mean? It was a life-changing experience because he had followed upon that track for, the remainder of his life. But my uncle Asadi, he was Orthodox. And I had an uncle, Hassan Shamsuddin, otherwise known as Kenneth Goodson, who, rest in peace, Kenneth Goodson, who chose the Orthodox path of Islam as well.
Okay. So, like, growing up in your house, I guess it was pretty strict.
Well, with my father being in the Marines and being in the Nation of Islam, and you think just back in the day, it was definitely an experience. Like, it was some days like, I was kind of afraid, meaning that not like in the terms of like fear or anything of that nature, but it was just, we ran a tight ship. My mother, she was very conservative. My father was pretty conservative on how they see things. And so that kind of spread to me and my sister. I have an older sister and an older brother, and I was the baby, the child, So when they left the house, because my sister was about 10 years older than me, when they left, I was pretty much there by myself. And so you can imagine all this, conservative attitudes, because we in Texas, so it's a Bible thing too as well. But man, it was just quite an experience. But I can tell you what was beneficial to me, and which I'm trying to express to my kids as well, is I had a father and a mother who talked to me. I had a father who sat down and said, the rights and wrongs, and of course, I made mistakes, but we had conversation, and to me, that was very powerful because one of the most one of the most important things my father ever told me was, if you don't do anything else, just follow my example.
Yeah.
And so, that's just the path I'm attempting to walk upon now, is just to follow many of those example things that I could, and that's kind of how I got to the point I am now.
Okay, all right. What you think about that, Just the upbringing? You think? I'm ready to mess with it. You think that play a role? When you think of Yafeuh, how long you been on?
Maybe like a little. I don't know when I met you. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like 2 years. 2 years.
It may have been about 2-3 years ago. I think.
I think a little longer than that.
Yeah.
I think about 2017.
Oh, okay, probably, maybe so, maybe so.
Yeah.
I don't be keeping count. I know exactly when I met this one over here, but but yeah, I don't be keeping count like that. But I think based upon what you said, I do think the upbringing does play a role. It plays a huge role in leading to revolution, especially somebody like you. I think you are a very intelligent, smart man. You bring a lot to the community. My first time hearing you speak, I was like, I didn't know he was that damn deep.
Yeah. So overall, like, when did, like, we know you have on religious side, Islam,
Right.
but that don't necessarily translate to someone being involved in the movement. Like, what led you on that path of getting involved in the community and the movement? Like, when did you get involved? What led you to get involved?
I'll be honest with you. It wasn't as like the normal thing that most people experience. I don't think. I think most people have like an awakening.
Yeah.
Like something like that. Like I've always known about like black empowerment. I always knew about like the history. I knew about the figures. You know what I mean? So I always had some sort of reference point. But I think what happened with me is I had my grandfather that who lived with me, named James Goodson. He lived with us in our house, and he used to hide. He was an older man, and so with my father being Muslim, of course, his dad was just a regular Christian dude. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, he prayed all the time. I used to pray with him. He would sneak pork in the house, right? And him and my father go back and forth. So just to make a long story short, it had gotten to the point where my grandfather, he was an older man, he wanted to be independent. So he decided he was gonna move out, because he just moved in just briefly because of the situation, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he an older man, just need a little assistance, kind of get himself going.
Yeah.
Once he got himself going, he said he was gonna move in with my uncle Asadi. And so when he moved in, basically what happened was my mama and them say, well, this is a good experience for you to kind of experience what life is, because they felt like I was taking things for granted and whatnot. So I moved in with them, my uncle Asadi, my grandfather James, and then me. I'm the third person. I'm still in high school. And so what happened is my uncle Kenneth, he died, right? And so that was like a spiritual thing to me. But I was listening to a lot of speeches at that particular time, and my uncle Asadi used to play like several like revolutionary type speeches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is in addition to what my father had already been hipping me on. Yeah. And then when I was going to school, I used to see the brothers in the Nation of Islam. You know,
where you went to school at?
I went to David Carter, and so that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
I used to walk around. Eric can tell you, I used to walk around the school with a Bible and the Quran in high school. You know what I'm saying? So I was leaning that direction. Where the summer before, I was running the streets with the Poterius players. You know what I'm saying? So it was like an immediate switch around for me. But that experience of being kind of forced out, kind of trying to figure out things on my own, because I was working at Sack and Save at the time, pushing carts, making $58 a week. You know what I'm saying? So my mother come and check on me from time to time. But that was the thing that kind of made me kind of be on my own, because I was taking trips down to Mars 48 at that particular time, and it was just a collaboration of different things that happened that really kind of made me want to be an activist.
Okay, all right. Now, what was your first like organization you worked with? What was your first major thing you actually did? I know briefly you told me about you worked with the brother out of Mississippi, what's his name?
Chuckway Lumumba.
Chuckway Lumumba.
Right.
Was that some of your earlier organizing, or something happened before that?
My first protest was in 2003
Mm-hmm.
at Home Depot. I was a brother, I can't remember his name, he worked at Home Depot. He felt like Home Depot was treating him a certain kind of way. And I just so happened to be at the Jack in the Box. This is on Wheatland Road. Like, if anybody familiar with Dallas, Wheatland and 20, that Home Depot right there. This dude he had a sign, and you know what I'm saying, me and Eric was together. We started with him, and there was a couple other people that worked inside of Home Depot. He was an employee. He was protesting. So we just simply got out and just started protesting with him. Mind you, that was the first time I ever seen like a protest in my time frame, you know what I'm saying, other than what I seen like Out on the Prize. Yeah. Let me not mention Out on the Prize played a big role in sort of my political analysis, you know what I'm saying, because it helped me kind of figure things out. When I saw Chairman Fred Hampton, these types of figures on that Out on the Prize documentary. But that was my first protest, Home Depot, and I was protesting the rights of workers being able to, you know what I'm saying, have enough money to be able to provide for their family. I mean, that's a basic thing. You know, if you're working hard every day, you shouldn't, I don't think it's right for you to come home with less, you know what I'm saying, and not being able to provide with your family. So that's what the basis of his protest was about, and that's why I supported him. Me and Eric did.
What was the results of that?
The results from that, I think he got terminated, being honest with you. I mean, it was a couple of protests. I think he got terminated. We didn't follow back up with him. He didn't follow back up with us. But that was like the first time that I actually was a part of something political, you know what I'm saying, something outside of myself, and kind of was not on the sidelines with it. And so, man, that to me, even though it might seem small to some, it was life changing for me, because from that moment in 2003 up until, you know, here recently, until I just really strapped down and really concerned about being a father, like I've kind of been willing to be on the front lines, you know, here and there situations.
And just let me ask you this, and you can chime in too. Like, I'm always curious about what sparked people to get involved. Like he said, you know, he had his background, but his religious then spark. It was like seeing that fella at the Home Depot. Mm-hmm. Like, for you per se, was it a experience like that with you as well, or?
What sparked me to get involved was, well, first it was like a process, because I didn't grow up with that kind of upbringing. I didn't have like a revolutionary upbringing. My parents didn't teach me. We wouldn't listen to no speeches. We just went to church on Sunday and came home and ate Sunday dinner. That was pretty much about it. So after what happened with Trayvon Martin, I started to read more starting then, but it was still like a slow paced thing. I still wasn't doing anything in the community. Then I started, I got on Facebook and there was some poetry thing going on at the dock. So that was what got me into the dock. I didn't know that the dock was the type of place that it was. I just thought that's just a place they held the poetry place at. But then when I saw what it was, I thought they had books in here and all kind of stuff. So I started buying the books. And then I met Sister Tamika Muhammad, because she was a part of the LOC. And I started working with them a little bit. And then a couple months later, I met you. And it's been BM ever since. But I think, but I've always, my friends have always told me, just you always been kind of like the rebel or the person to go against the grain. So I think it's not just a spark, because a lot of people get that spark, but they don't hold it. They'll start doing stuff for a little bit and they get dried out, or it's sensationalism. Right. Kind of like, be quite honest, last year with George Floyd, it was a lot of sensationalism with that. You know, a lot of people was just on the bandwagon. They just protesting to be out there. Right. Don't even really genuinely know way out there. And now, poof, everybody back in the house. But when you literally have the heart to do this, you even after you get that spark, the spark will keep going if you got the heart.
Right. And to go off of that, Yafeuh, now, what you think about what Jessica just said? Like, with people, they get to sensationalize things and they jump on the bandwagon, they get involved, and then we get right now we get a Democratic president, and then the momentum dies down. Like, have you seen that a lot throughout your time in the movement?
Man, it's like Novocaine, you know what I'm saying? It's like a Novocaine shot, you know. I think that's a lot of what the reform politics is about. It's about giving you your shot. You know what I'm saying? To kind of calm you down, keep you cool, calm, and collected. And so, yeah, I mean, I agree with her. A lot of folks has been out there, you know what I'm saying, and now they're in the house, they're comfortable now they're getting adjusted back to work because of, you know, the experience in 2020. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are getting adjusted. I will say at the same time, I think on the positive tip though, I think it's good that a lot more people were informed. Okay, and it's just a matter of what we do with that information. Like we get information every day. You know what I'm saying? It's what you do with it. So I think that's why it's important for groups like Black Empowerment and other groups that have been out in the forefront for years and years and years to vanguard that situation, so that when people get that information, they get that hot second, you know, you be on the phone with your cousin and she's like, oh, they did that. And all of a sudden they, you know what I'm saying, they want to figure out what to do, or they go to DPD headquarters on Botham Jean Boulevard and run a protest, but then what? So I think it's just up to us to kind of give them a sense of direction. But ultimately, I agree with Jessica. Like it was a plethora of people that was out. You know what I'm saying? It's a plethora of people that got an opinion. You know what I'm saying? And frankly, to be honest with you, I'm glad they got an opinion. I want them to continue to see them out.
Amen. So, speaking of Vanguard, I consider you personally as a pivotal Vanguard person in the DFW.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, man, you are. You got the track record. And speaking of your track record, one of your track records is you, if I'm correct, you co-founded, you and Chairman Eric Carfrey started Guerilla Mainframe.
Right.
So how that come about?
Man, it's a story within that, man. Number one, it was me, Eric Carfrey, Melchizedek Gibbs, Saida Williams Muhammad. You know, it's really a collaboration of 4 individuals. But since those individuals more or less have stepped back, you know what I'm saying, we mainly talk about me and Eric. And just to be truthful about it, our first program, when I say our first program, I'm not talking about Guerilla Mainframe. I'm talking about what Guerilla Mainframe came from was an organization called PLC, the People's Lunch Counter. We started our first programs just in the apartment complex in East Dallas, just basically pinching whatever little funds we had together, because we were doing kind of the format. We was doing like a neighborhood patrol, you know what I mean, with the agreement of the complex. And then we saw that it was kids there, and it was summertime. They had a building they called a Dream Center. And so we used the Dream Center as our headquarters. It was a nice 2-story building on the property.
What time frame this was at?
Man, this had to be 2007.
Okay.
So this is 07. Man, this was on Buckner Boulevard. My apartment at the time was 2703 North Buckner, apartment 203. You know, this was, you know what I'm saying? You know, I was in the hood, you know what I'm saying? But I want to say this though, I was in the hood, but I just want to explain that, you know what I'm saying? I come from a background of both my parents was kind of like, I don't want to say at a certain point, you know, they made it out the neighborhood.
Yeah. So
I really wanted to kind of on my own kind of get that sort of experience. So when they offered me the job to patrol the community, they said, you're going to be our community watch guy. You know what I'm saying? So I started on one apartment complex doing this patrol, and it slipped my mind the name of it. And we were doing such a good job that the other apartment complex across the street, Timber Park Apartments, they called and say, can y'all do this over here too? And so we was patrolling that 2007 and, you know, serving the community. But this was as PLC. The interesting thing about all of that is the whole little neighborhood there, it was other apartment complexes. They was hitting us up too. And it was like, I had like 5 or 6 apartment complexes that was hitting us up at the same time. The thing about this is this, 2007, like a lot of people like, you know, you got a lot of organizations out there. In fact, Huey P. New Gun Club, all the different type of organizations out there. A lot of open carry groups, black groups, etc. This was way before any of that was popular. This is way before even white folks started doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With open carry Texas. And the thing about it is that there was a particular complex that we patrolled called Aspen Chase. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Aspen Chase is one of the biggest apartment complexes in Dallas. It's still called Aspen Chase. It's out 635 and Centerville, I think, Centerville and Ferguson.
Yeah.
It's the biggest. It's the biggest. Man, the thing about that is when DPD, Dallas Police Department, realized that, hey, these dudes either one, trying to build some type of financial security, like start a business, or they getting all their people, like, together. Like, I got a dude hired, he was patrolling, but he was also the maintenance. So he had an apartment, doing this thing. But it was like this infusion of culture, of politics, of people that was separate of each other. We got them all consolidated into one area. And so we was dealing with the people like that. That was the powerful. DPD realized that. Man, DPD came down on 3 apartment complexes. We got fired from all 3. The last one, they was trying to get us fired at. It's only because we had a personal relationship with the owner that we didn't get fired. But yeah, all of that occurred through what became Guerilla Mainframe came from PLC, People's Lunch Counter, and it was just based upon us dealing with the kids in Temple Park and doing a patrol in Temple Park every day.
So that experience made you feel like you and some of the people from, what is it, PL? You said PLC? PLC. Y'all decide, hey, we got to organize this into something else, like that Guerilla Mainframe came?
What happened is that me and Melchizedek, like we was like, real radical guys, you know what I mean? Like, or we thought ourselves as like real radical guys, you know what I'm saying? And so, we still kind of like, in our prime, so to speak. And so it was actually Saida that said, let's call it Guerilla Mainframe. Because at that time, we were studying George Jackson, and George Jackson, what you always hear about George Jackson? Guerilla, this sort of thing. Yeah. So we wanted to be affiliated, we wanted to be connected with George Jackson. In some kind of way, she just threw the term in Mainframe. And, if I'd have told somebody, no, hey, let's name an organization Guerilla Mainframe, you'd be like, oh, hell no, I ain't gonna name no single. But for whatever reason, that time, it just sounded good. We was riding in the car together. It just sounded good, and we said we was gonna start Guerilla Mainframe. It was kind of supposed to be something secret, like we was gonna be like a secret entity or something, like an underground movement or something. That's how it all started out. But Saida came up with that, man.
So tell us a little bit about Guerilla Mainframe, that inception, and Guerilla Mainframe came to be. What was some of the program? What's some of the accomplishment? What happened with Guerilla Mainframe?
Man, I think, I think Guerilla Mainframe to me has been a staple in the DFW area as far as like revolutionary organization for years. You know what I mean? But it hadn't anything. It just I think it's just been real positive. Of course, all groups have their ups and downs. I think as far as like even our influence on the national level has been real crucial because like I said. I remember when we really first started coming back with this open carry thing. Keep in mind, we had put it down like stop patrolling once we left the apartment complex in Pleasant Grove. We left the apartment complex in 2009, and so after we left the apartment complexes, we stopped. In between that, we had some incidents. I failed to mention. We had some incidences with DPD because I had went down to the city hall and I had a hat. This is when you can get through city hall without the metal detectors too. I had a Bowie hat or something. I had some 7.62s in my hat, all around. And basically what I told them, the city council, Diane Ragsdale, she was down there. She came down there trying to calm it down. I had basically told the police like it was only 2 ways to leave the battlefield. It's either victorious or dead. I let you all decide. That's the word I ended on. And there was a quote from Che Guevara because I felt like it was a threat for them to try to come to Temple Park apartments after they got us fired from all the other departments, come down and try to get us kicked out, you know what I'm saying, or try to stop our program because that was really our baby. But in terms of GMF as a whole, I think that it has been one pivotal group that has helped establish, black militant culture in the South. And I'm kind of quoting Chief when I said, that's one of the things he always say, because he came during that time frame in 2011, 2012 to kind of help solidify what we were doing.
So y'all was GMF, I remember y'all was doing like actual like self-defense training, martial arts type. Y'all, how often y'all was doing that?
Man, excuse me. Every time we saw Chief, every time we saw Chief, you know what I'm saying? And them days, I talk about them passionately because at those particular times, I didn't have I didn't have problems, you know what I'm saying? you know what I'm saying, I didn't have experiences, you know what I mean? I didn't have a family to take care of. I didn't have outside people to consider, you know what I'm saying? So we was working out and training with Rakim, you know what I'm saying? Like since day one. Like, you know, when I met Rakim at the MLK Center, and I had a group of guys in front of me, and we was out in front of that tree on MLK Center right in South Dallas. And he walked up with a couple of people, I think Sunshine Harris and another female he walked up with, and he was just observing. And I had been like training in like Goju-Ryu, karate, you know what I'm saying, with Keith Sharp. Keith Sharp was like, in the early 2000s, Keith Sharp was like the premier martial artist, a black martial artist in the city of Dallas. Like everybody that was like in a certain frame of mind, like a freedom type of mind or a political type of mind, they went and trained with Keith Sharp. All the groups you can name, Nation Islam, black, anybody, they all trained with Keith Sharp. So I come off of training with Keith Sharp. So I'm giving demonstrations on movements and whatnot, and he was like, oh, nah. He said, oh, nah. First time I see him, he said, you mind? He asked me, he said, do you mind? I said, yeah, go ahead. And so since that moment forward, he was always, we called him Chief, but a lot of people think that's a nickname. Like, that's not, you know, I just want to say that too. That's not like a nickname for him. You know what I mean? It was actually supposed to be Chief in Command. Like, that was actually a position. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And we based that off the FARC. You know what I'm saying? FARC organization South America, because they have a Chief in Command. So, and Melchizedek was the original Chief in Command. So Chief was actually the second Chief. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that all really happened, so to speak.
So, you know, y'all was doing the training, serving the community in Dallas. Still at that time doing some patrols locally. How did y'all decide to, you, Chief, if I'm correct, Babu, how y'all all come together and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna create Huey P. New Gun Club?
I'm gonna tell you my part of it. You know what I'm saying? I can't really speak. Babu and Rakim, of course, have their parts. What they feel. I'm gonna tell you my part. My part was I ran around with Changa, Walter Higgins, you know what I'm saying? He just ran for District 7 in the city of Dallas. I ran around with Stephen Benavidez, you know what I'm saying? At that time, a cornerstone activist in the community, you know what I'm saying? I ran with them, and we was concerned about policy, right? And so with us being concerned about policy, I said, I want to make my part of it, I want to make it a little militant. Because up until that point, I learned like how to do open record requests from within, with the Dallas Community Organized for Change. We were doing open record requests on police brutality statistics. A lot of people don't know, like, okay, now it's popular, but when DCOC was out there doing open records requests, filing complaints, federal complaints against the city, it was very unpopular. We did this in 2013, man. You know what I'm saying? So we did open records requests, and we found out that, I don't know, 40 unarmed individuals had been killed by Dallas police in a 10-year period. And we thought that was just crazy, with nobody saying nothing about it. So when all that was happening, because it wasn't getting the attention, because we kept trying to do press conferences. Yeah. I mean, police brutality just wasn't a hot topic at that particular time until later on, to Michael Brown. So what I basically did was, there was a brother that I had reached out to, and I knew he was a rider. You know what I'm saying? I reached out to him. I talked to him on the phone. I said, man, I want to do an open carry demonstration in Dallas, in South Dallas. He said, I based my time frame off his work schedule, I'm trying to say. It was August 20th. This was before Michael Brown. This was like, when was this? This
before
was like,
Trayvon?
No, this wasn't before Trayvon. Trayvon had already happened. Okay. When Trayvon happened, we were trying to do a citywide referendum in Dallas to get a new civilian review board. Of course, we got it now, but that's what we were trying to do in 2012. But with this particular situation in 2013, this was before Michael Brown. To me, Michael Brown is really what took the police brutality part on a national level. Now, Trayvon woke folks up in 2012, but Michael Brown kind of brought it into police brutality. You know what I'm saying? So I had organized it based upon this one brother's schedule for August 20th. Keep in mind, Michael Brown happened 2009, 2013. So anytime you deal with situations that are emotional, it's all about timing, right? So we got together with that. Babu said he wanted to do South Dallas, a specific part of South Dallas. Yeah. I wanted South Dallas. He had a specific part. which was really really important. He said he wanted to go down MLK and then Malcolm X. So basically, what people see is what really started this kind of resurgence of Black open carry came from our first demonstration, August 20th, 2014.
You say you talking about Huey P. Newton Gun Club?
Huey P. Newton Gun Club. The Huey P. Newton Gun Club started this resurgence of Black militant culture.
Yeah.
Before that, it was just taboo. It was something off to the side. It was like if you post a picture with you and a weapon on social media, everybody would like take that down. It was like you couldn't do that, you know what I'm saying, without somebody speaking against it. So when we did it, and it was Babu's ability to kind of keep everybody sort of disciplined. It was my political part of it because I was already engaged in the politics of the police brutality movement. He was engaged, but he wasn't necessarily as engaged as I was. I was actively trying to change policy in the city, like actively. You know what I'm saying? So it was that and my ability to try to connect with the right contacts and individuals, you know what I'm saying, media, etc., that really combined together and blew it up.
So if I'm correct, because, we're talking to people that may or may not know, right now, currently, you and Rakim, y'all not part of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, correct? As it is now.
As the organization that exists now that a lot of people refer to as the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, no, I decided to create the Huey P. Newton Gun Club Alpha. And the reason why I created that was not to be in competition or conflict with the Huey P. Newton Gun Club. I'm really concerned about like the politics and ideology. To me, that's most important. It's not about no gun or being sensational or be able to say all this crazy stuff to get sound bites. Like I just never was into that.
So how do the Huey P. Newton Gun Club that y'all formed together? It's somewhat like it was your baby.
Correct.
So how do you feel like Babu? He's, to my understanding, is over the whole thing because you got Huey P. Newton Gun Clubs all across the country now.
Right.
So how do you feel about the direction and not the saying, but just be honest, how you feel about it now and where it's going and how it is now, because it's huge now. I would say you got to give big ups to Babu, like after the separation. I feel like he did a good job with growing the membership and everything. But in your personal opinion, how you feel about it?
I think Babu did a great job in what made sense to him. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. He did a great job in what made sense to him and how he seen it. I think if I would have been engaged, if I'd have stayed engaged, I think it would have went a little differently. I'm not one for extreme to what I consider conservative politics in terms of the Black nationalist aspect. I'm not one big on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm really more. Have developed more into like an intercommunalism. You know what I'm saying? I'm really big on the name Huey P. Newton. So when the name Huey P. Newton came about, from that point, from that ideological point, you know what I'm saying, that's why I agree with the name. You know what I'm saying? So just take for example, I'm just gonna be like valid. Like a lot of cats, and I just say some names. There are people out here that sort of disagree with the whole like quote unquote Panther position. You know what I'm saying? Or kind of like the new Panther position, so to speak. And so
you say it's people that disagree with the original Panther position?
No.
With the new Black Panther.
With that position.
Okay.
And not to really harp on that, because that's not what this is about per se, but there are some disagreements. And so one of those individuals, of course, is Chairman Fred. And I'm just going to say...
Chairman Fred Hampton Jr.
Yeah. One of those people is Chairman Fred. He has a disagreement, you know what I'm saying, in terms of that part of it, you know what I'm saying? And, if I could speak, and I just want to kind of be a mouthpiece for it, you know what I'm saying? Those politics I sort of, got a disagreement with. I think that ultimately Black people should create a situation where we have complete control of our communities. But I also feel at the same time that, as in George Jackson says, we have to use the resources of those that may or may not look like us, and sometimes we even have our best interests towards our benefit. And it's a matter of, the method of how we do that. But I think we should do it in a way whereas Yafeuh don't necessarily have to be the one to die. Like, why I gotta die for? It's too many other people that's already died. You know what I'm saying? And so That's why I'm not big on black, because it's already enough black blood in the streets. We die with black, so-called black on black violence. We die when we dealing with police brutality. We die from cancer. We die from quote unquote some ailment that came out in 2020. We die for a number of different reasons. So a lot of people say, well, Yafeuh, this is another thing that some people said about me. They say Yafeuh like white folks. And that's what they say about me. No, I realize that there are some resources that we need to take advantage of, and we need to pull it back to our camps and to our communities so that we can uplift our communities. A lot of people disagree with that. So that's possibly one of my disagreements, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I understand, to him, and I'm not, shitting on him or none of that, or nobody within that formation per se. I just have an ideological disagreement, and then number one, I think they just can go about doing things differently.
Okay, all right.
I can kind of dig that.
Yeah.
So
enough of us dying.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it's enough of us dying. But I still don't be fooling with them white folks. But I understand.
It ain't everybody, you know what I'm saying? But it's the way I seen it. I mean, look, let me tell you something. I'm just gonna be frank, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be sensational. I'm not gonna come up and talk the sensational stuff. I'm gonna tell people how it really happened. Like for real, like I was in my house in North Dallas, 12447 Oberlin Drive. You know what I'm saying?
You need to dress it,
Yeah. I'm just saying. I was at the house. You know what I'm saying? When we came up, we got the call when me and him was talking on the phone. You know what I'm saying about this? Like I just want to tell you, it wasn't nothing like super sensational about the situation. It was very real. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just explaining how my part of it, you know what I'm saying, how I saw it. Of course, other people see it differently. He might see it somewhat differently. He was active in some other things at that particular time. I just did it because I was active in the police brutality movement. Because if you look at the interview that I did with the media at that particular time, I was mentioning folks like Clinton Allen. At that particular time, Clinton Allen was a big name for locally. Clinton Allen was like Botham Jean is in Dallas. Now, most people, you say Clinton Allen, most people don't know who the hell you're talking about. Yeah. But Clinton Allen was murdered March 10, 2013, you know what I'm saying? By badge number 9514. You know, as we used to say, 9514, your badge is not clean, you know what I'm saying? Clark Stoller murdered him, you know what I'm saying, in Oak Cliff. That's what really started the police brutality movement, you know what I'm saying? That's what started it for Dallas, you know what I'm saying? That's what started March 10, 2013. That's what started it.
So I want to harp back. You talked about how Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. feel about this. Why do you feel like he feel like that? Have he told you these things, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been getting those sentiments since 2009. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I first engaged with him. But I think he's principled when he's saying this, because he feels that the legacy of the BPP, the Black Panther Party, should be a protected entity. And I for one, feel as though I'm a student of Fahim Jabari Minka. You know, I feel that way as well.
Who is Fahim?
Fahim Jabari Minka was a brother that I knew way back when I was in elementary school. You know what I mean? And he got his kids. I won't call their name out, but he got his kids, and they went to school with me. And later on, I found out he was over the state of Texas chapter of the Black Panther Party. Later on, and I was like, man, I've been seeing you all these years. You know, and I was wondering why he was doing things like he had the old skating rink, Southern Skates. Yeah. He was at that time he was taking kids to do little activities or whatnot. So that was something that I thought was unusual at that time for us, like people like taking other people's kids and doing positive things with them.
Yeah,
he was doing it, and so. In hindsight, it wasn't ironic at the time. It wasn't ironic later when I found out he was a member. But he was a beautiful brother. Passed away February 15, 2018, I believe. I saw him the day he passed.
So he was a big influence on you. Would that be fair to say?
I would say that because it was a lot of those 2-hour conversations over the phone and some of them in person that more or less kind of influenced the position that I got right now. I know it's not a popular position, but the position I hold is not popular. And I understand people got the right to disagree with me. But he was over the Texas State chapter, the Black Panther Party, and had been trailed by the FBI and things like that, but also had been a forerunner in the open carry movement too. So a lot of people don't know that there was a group called African American Men Against Narcotics in Dallas in the late 80s, 87, 88, 89. So if you was around during that time, or if you can remember during that time, what did you see Ronald Reagan's wife doing? She kept saying no to drugs, right? It was no to drugs and all this type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of us, we kind of seen that. Now, I was a child at the time, but I remember seeing it on the wall, say no to drugs. I mean, elementary school, they were like saying no. So he was one of those people that was moved by his time in the same manner of how we moved by our time. In his particular time, they were dealing with, they were just coming out the crack epidemic.
Yeah.
So they were trying to solve the problem of the crack epidemic. He was one of those people that was willing to put his life on the line to solve this problem. And so he was patrolling neighborhoods, the Jeffrey Myers neighborhood in South Dallas, and also Prince Hall community in Oak Cliff, and set up a whole community center eventually that's now known as Southern Skates.
Okay. Just go jump in. You have some questions. I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good. You
Just
done
like,
ran out.
I'm just, she's like, I'm
You
just
done
soaking
ran.
it in.
You
I'm
done
just
ran
soaking
out
it
of
in.
questions.
No, I got plenty. I got plenty. But yeah, that's amazing, man. Like, most people don't know you have a long history of being involved in Dallas. Just with since it's on my mind, most people don't know that you were the person that spearheaded the street naming of Lamar to Botham Jean Boulevard.
Oh man. Look.
So let's talk about that. Like, what
That's a
made
good
you
one.
what made you want to say, hey, let's change Lamar to Botham Jean Boulevard? What made you get involved to lead that charge?
Man, that's on many different levels of what made me want to try to get involved, lead that charge. I think one of them was that Rakim Balogun was arrested by the FBI. For me, that was one of them. Meaning that, of course, he came to be known as what we felt at the time was the black identity extremist. And of course, you know, the FBI had an assessment in I think 2017, really before
They
2017.
said they was following all of us.
Yeah. Followed everybody like for 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it was me. My part of it, because there's other people, Chris Norman, Devontae Peters, Pamela Grayson, his family, all this type of jazz. I'm going to say my part of it was I just wanted to kind of change the narrative on how people define black militancy. Because just remember, we just in July 7, 2016, what did we experience? We saw Michael Xavier Johnson. And I kid you not, everything we do, they always try to affiliate us with Michael Johnson. Like seriously, like we did a demonstration, a candlelight visual for different people, victims of violence in the city of Dallas. Botham Jean was one of them. We just so happened to do it on July 2nd. Had nothing to do with Michael Xavier Johnson. You know, nothing to do. But yet still, they still said, that's them people that connected with Michael Xavier Johnson. You know, those are people that got arrested for Michael Xavier Johnson. Those are people that for open carry. Like we had made no mention of it. And so I said to say that the media at that particular time was just trying to use emotionalism to run a story and try to attack our movement, try to stifle our growth before it grew. But my part of it is that I kind of understood kind of the politics of it, some of the players are politically, and I just wanted to try to get the community engaged and change the name of South Lamar, which is now Botham Jean Boulevard. But I want to say that struggle, like, really is still ongoing because we're still struggling to name North Lamar. So right now we got 3.4 miles named after Botham Jean, okay? 3.4 miles, okay? That's good, right? But we got 1.4 that's Lamar. So I want to see El Centro College. I want to see the other end of Lamar all the way up to Continental. I want to see it for that to say Botham Jean. But that really, to me, which we kind of got engaged in it about October of 2019. And then, of course, Devontae Peters went and spoke about it, I think February 5th, 2020, if I'm not mistaken, at the City Hall meeting. My perspective was I just wanted to change the narrative on black militancy and show that we could reach a broader group of people than what we had been reaching.
Okay.
I got a question off the back end of what you just spoke before I get to have on my phone. Do you so your perspective was to change, the perspective on black militancy? Do you think you accomplished that?
No, I think it's an ongoing situation. I think oftentimes, if they can kind of put us in the corner, then they will. You know what I mean? When I mean put us in the corner, I mean separate us from the community. Because let me just say this, and the reason why I say this, I'm not talking no coon jive. I know that like one of the principal ways that I'm gonna reach the community is if I have something to offer the community. Sometimes it's information, sometimes it's water, sometimes it's like things that Black Empowerment do.
Yeah.
They're like, that's like, I have to have something to offer to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be willing to kind of wear different hats. So yeah, I'm Yafeuh Balogun, and you know what I'm saying? And that's sort of, people get a certain image of it. But I know that, quote unquote, the media or mainstream media have a certain image of a dude that's walking around with a gun talking about Black Power and fuck the police. You know what I'm saying? But then I want my community to have a image of that, just like it's mentioned in D magazine, where it was talking about we were serving fruits and vegetables to the elders in the community.
Yeah.
That's the narrative that I want. So I don't want them always to feel like, oh, these guys are just overly aggressive. Like, no, we intelligent, we got sense, we got degrees, we got family. You know what I'm saying? We got people that want us to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not some dude that's every day I'm finna figure out. That's the hype that a lot of people say the police is about these days. It's hyper masculine attitude. We don't have hyper masculine attitudes. We're everyday people like everybody else. We just want to see our community be better. I want to see people not have so much infighting. I want to try to avoid domestic violence. I want to try to avoid selling the dope. I want to try to avoid police brutality. But I know I have to offer something for that to happen. So I don't expect necessarily today that some dude that's selling drugs or whatever, if I don't expect him just to stop today. But what I do expect is that he'll listen, become informed, so that the next person that's under him, like a younger person, can avoid the pitfalls that he's experiencing.
Mm. And speaking on current day activism, what are your views on current day activism? Do you see it's growing, it's going in the right path, in the right way, or you see things are regressing? It's not. What are your thoughts on what's going on today?
I tend to be positive with my whole outlook on life. You know what I mean? I see that a lot of people gonna stay where they at. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine if that's where they wanna. Some people just gonna plant they flag where they planted. Ain't nothing you can do about that. You might be Black Empowerment for the next 30 years. I can't tell you. You know what I'm saying? Jessica might be Black Empowerment, or Black Empowerment might become something else. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But some people gonna plant their flag. I'll just say for me, you know what I'm saying, I become, I'm still revolutionary at heart, but my thing is how I can affect the people. Because remember back in 2013, I was working on policy. I realized then that I wanted to put something together in the form, which at that particular time, it was an idea to Severe Review Board. I wanted to put something that affected millions of people in the city of Dallas, and hopefully be an example of different places around the country. You know what I'm saying, to do the same thing, and I see a lot of people are doing that as well. So when you ask me now, like how I see it, man, I see the issues that I think is important kind of affect me the most. Number one, you know what I'm saying, I think that Black fathers need to figure out how to get intelligent about how to deal with the laws. Not only just dealing with the police, but also how to deal in the court system. Like, I think it's important. Like, you know what I'm saying, like up until the point where like I really consider like, should I go get a law degree, because I'm really passionate about Black men just being confident. I think a lot of times we don't go to courtroom because we're not confident. Because usually it's a place that we feel like we're being attacked. Yeah, initially you can be attacked in that arena, but if you can figure out how to help it to be your stepping stone, you know what I'm saying, it's powerful. You know what I'm saying? Once you figure out how to make the courtroom your stepping stone, then you become empowered. And so that's what I want to encourage a lot of Black men and Black women too, but particularly Black men. Hey, like, you ain't got to fear the courtroom. And once we figure out how we can become dominant in the courtroom, then that's a part of our freedom, because that's the one thing that we fear, we scared of. We not, one of the biggest deterrents in the world is we don't want to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to know we got to deal with that courtroom, right? So once we turn that situation around and realize that, hey, this is a stepping stone and I can actually become empowered. Not only can I become empowered, but I can empower someone else, then it becomes that thing. So, to me, I'm more concerned about those types of things. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I don't want to, do a certain change across the United States. You know what I'm saying, in a certain kind of way. It's not that I don't, but I think for me, I want to just do practical things that I think can help people and help people where they at. And my hope is, later on, maybe not even my lifetime, but my hope is that they'll get some things together and realize that, you know what I'm saying, maybe we need some revolutionary ideas, some revolutionary practices, and maybe we can figure something out at that point.
Okay, all right. That's very positive.
I try to be
positive.
I try to be.
But what's some things you just fucking hate in the movement now?
Man, sensationalism, I helped create that whole sensationalism behind the gun shit. You know what I'm saying?
So you hate all the open carry, the macho, bro?
Yeah, I hate all that macho, and those cats that's doing it. I know they, in the bigger scheme of things, I know they, it's just a bunch of sensationalism.
But you created that.
I created that phenomenon. I created that. You know what I'm saying? In the contemporary sense, I created that phenomenon. You know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't wait that day, August 20, 2014, to get out there and be in front of Dallas police. Because some people, let me tell you why I say that. Like, a lot of people act like big bad militant. You know what I'm saying? But we was having some meetings before that happened at the barbershop, at Babu's barbershop, and one of the questions was, are we gonna go to jail? Should we have bullets in our gun? All these type of questions. You know what I'm saying?
Lord.
And I'm just being honest with you. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and like make it sound like it's better than it wasn't. Because basically we were just a ragtag group. Now, of course, they better now. Of course, they got more quality membership than we had back then. Basically, it was more of like a ragtag group. Like, I think the only dudes that had any consistent military experience, I'm not talking about like 1 year or something, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about consistent was probably Babu and Rakim. Babu being in the Army and Rakim being in the Marine Corps. Everybody else was just neighborhood guys, dudes from Oak Cliff, Pleasant Grove, So, like, it was like a little a ragtag group. And so, I think this the biggest thing is I hate is at this particular point is that sensationalism, you know what I'm saying, and the ideology, you know what I'm saying. I don't, one of my elders, and I hate that I hadn't mentioned him yet, but one of my elders, one of the biggest influences on me was Bandeli Tayumba, who was the founder of the Pan-African Connection. You know what I'm saying. A lot of people are familiar with Pan-African, but didn't have the opportunity to meet Bandeli because he passed away in 2012. You know what I'm saying. I had the experience of knowing him as a child, you know what I'm saying, because my mother used to go to Pan-African. And then I had the experience of knowing him as an adult because me and Eric and Angel or Kalika was a part of his political education. So that's where, like, a lot of people say, well, where did he get that from? Like, I got my blackness and realizing I was a black man from my father, right? He told me that. See, he told me the black man was God, from that Nation Islam ideology. That's what my daddy told me. But I got my understanding politically, like from a social-oriented position. A lot of that come from Bandeli. Like I kind of stamped my flag, and so that's what a lot of people don't know. And so a lot of people may or may not be familiar with me or may have heard something about me, but that's where I got it from. And so I said it out to say that I feel that all of that is important. You know what I'm saying? But I could go on and on. But you know what I'm saying? That to me, that's important though, man. To me, that's important, man. So,
Okay, so my question is, what's the hardest part about being quote unquote revolutionary?
To do nothing. That's the hardest part because you feel convicted. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like a lot of times, especially here lately, I just really kind of been wanting to stay out the way. You know what I'm saying? But it's like that conviction still there. You know what I'm saying? That's still pulling on me. You know what I'm saying? That's the hardest part because I want to be out there like everybody else. I want to be out there, serving the community in the capacity like I was previously, like everybody else. Because it makes you feel good to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. It makes you feel good. So for me, I have that conviction, and for me, I also got to realize. And this is my maturity. Like, it's different ways for me to do my part. You know what I'm saying? And I think what the mistake is what I made earlier is that you try to do too much. You know what I'm saying? And then the mistake is a lot of people expect you to do too much. So when there's nobody,
that's true. That's true.
When there's nobody else to do it, they gonna say, "Oh, Jessica will do it. Kent will do it," and we'll just come as we are. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it's one person that maybe do a certain thing and everybody just follow behind that, and then if they don't do it, well, it don't happen. So to me, that's just to me, that's the biggest thing. It's that conviction to kind of stay. And so when I look at Rakim or I look at Eric, folks like that who kind of been with me, we've been working together for years and years and years and years. When we say that, we're not saying it in like a negative sense, like, oh, we're not actively involved. I just think we have to find our ways to be involved. Maybe not in the same capacity, but maybe in the sense of we can help do certain things. And so, like I said, for me, right now, it's affecting 1 million people in Dallas. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to change Botham Jean Boulevard, the north end of Lamar to Botham Jean Boulevard. The south end has already changed. I want to change that because I want 1 million people to drive on that street. The thing about that is, the fun thing about that is now, is that DPD headquarters is now called Botham Jean Boulevard. You know what I mean? Think of the irony of that. The irony of Dallas Police headquarters is on Botham Jean Boulevard. Now, some people say, well, that's just symbolism or they just did that or whatever. But think about the mental. That's a mind fuck for the police. Yeah. Think about that police officer who has a mindset like Clark Stoller or Amber Geiger or whoever that can potentially be harmful. They got to go. They check say Botham Jean Boulevard. Yeah. So it's a mind fuck every day. Yeah. So that's what I was reminder. Yeah. So that's what I want to do. I want to be in that head. You know, I want to be part of that process that's in that head every day. You know what I'm saying?
And we're gonna wrap it up. We got like 3 minutes left.
Okay.
Overall, it's a hard question. You can answer in 2 ways. What is the goal of revolutionary struggle? What is the end game goal? What is the end game goal where you Botham Jean Boulevard, that's cool, but that ain't the goal of the whole of our people.
Right.
What is the goal and what is the road to take us there?
Man, I think I'm just gonna say our goal is freedom, of course, but I think we can afford to do a plebiscite. You know what I'm saying? And a plebiscite meaning that people can decide. You know what I'm saying? I don't think cats like me should make the decision. We should have a bigger voice per se necessarily. I think everybody should decide on how to deal with that. And the plebiscite decide if we're gonna participate with the current system, or if we're gonna decide to be Pan-Africanist or be separatists or whatever we're gonna be. I think the people should decide. You know what I'm saying? So. However the people decide to go, I think that's the road we should follow. But
so you don't think we should have an independent black nation? I'm not saying it got to be nationalist, black nationalist, but do we have to have our own separate land within this confine of the United States?
I think we got plenty of good examples. I think we got the whole country of Africa. I think we got Haiti. You know what I'm saying? I think we got plenty of spaces around the world where black people is independent. You know what I'm saying? I think for us in the America, and when I say America, I'm talking about the Americas, not just United States of America, South America. I think we can afford to do some plebiscites and just have people decide. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily think I should decide. In terms of my position, there are some disagreements. You know what I'm saying? But my position ultimately say that that we should push the envelope to the people and push it as far as we can and expose contradictions. And let them decide, and that's the direction we should go. That's how I'm gonna answer that question.
All right, man, right on time. Well, but hey, it was a hard one to get down by a minute. It was a good answer. But we gotta bring you on. I think it's some more stuff we can talk about. But overall, Jessica, I think we did well for our first installment. I just wanna welcome, thank everyone for tuning in. Before I go, just be sure, guys, y'all. Before we go, did I say?
Yeah, you did. You did.
Before we go, I'm already messed up. I'm gonna get chewed out, guys. Before we go, make sure y'all subscribe to the Black Empowerment Movement channel. Subscribe, like, share, and definitely tune in next time for our next guest. We definitely were gonna have Yafeuh Balogun back on again to finish this discussion. But other than that, guys, hey, y'all have a good one till we see you again. And all power to the people.
Power to the people.